Super 9 of the year, and alongside me, David Mercer, is Fru McMillan, and we're going to start by seeing the start of Yevgeny Kafelnikov's campaign. And boy, not an easy road for Yevgeny, because this is the man he's facing in this second round encounter. Gustavo Kuerten, who, if you were with us yesterday, you would have seen in fine form himself. And Kafelnikov, well, he's never won a match in Indian Wells, albeit that this is his only his second time here. Last year he lost his opening match to Bodan Urirak. And Kuerten, with that opening round victory over Thomas Muster, who'd been a semi-finalist here for the last 2 years, got to have a lot of confidence coming into this match, Fru.
Yes, it's always a problem, really, if you have a bye. It's nice, of course, to be seeded, as Kafelnikov is, at the bottom of the draw sheet. But you really hope that somehow you're going to luck out and have a bit of a coast in the second round, a bit of a feeler. But in a draw of this sort of standard, with so many of the world's top players here, as we look at umpire Laani again, our umpire for this match, you just don't get those sort of feelers. And Kuerten, well, Kuerten can be the French champion, but he can always also be pretty ordinary, and he looked extraordinary yesterday against Muster.
Head-to-head record is 2-1 in favour of Kafelnikov, including their only previous match on a hard court, which was in New Haven, up in Connecticut last year. Won that one pretty comfortably, 6-4, 6-4. On clay, it's 1 each, including, of course, famously the quarter-final of the '97 French, when Kuerten came from 2 sets to 1 down to win on his way to the title. Kafelnikov to serve first.
Interesting that we're seeing Kafelnikov at the net so early. That was a feature really of Kuerten against Muster. He played a lot more at the net than he normally does. Hit the ball with a tremendous amount of power. And by and large, he's got more power than Kafelnikov.
Winner of this match will go through to play Sheng Schalken, the young Dutchman, who's probably enjoying a few of those pina coladas he was talking about, having put out today the 16th seed Thomas Johansson, 6-3, 6-3. First ace of the match. So a pretty comfortable start for Yevgeny Kafelnikov, and who's won more matches on the tour than anybody else so far this year, 16. Just 3 defeats, and of course winning in Rotterdam as well as at the Australian Open. I suppose he'll be anxious to do well today, because Larry Stefanki, his new coach, has been based out in these parts, the California desert, for some time, so a lot of Larry's friends and family and I guess pupils are watching.
Yes, and Stefanki actually won this tournament in 1985, beat David Pate in the final. So I'm sure there would have been some advice with feeling from Kafelnikov's coach. Not a particularly good opening service game. It's not that his mind's on other things, I'm sure. It's just that maybe a little nervy. But we saw in London he didn't serve quite as well as he did in Rotterdam. where of course he won the tournament, and that may well have been one of the factors why he lost to Johansson, who admittedly played a blinder. But Kuerten against Muster was in terrific serving form, unbroken, didn't face a break point. In fact, he was only taken to deuce once. In many ways rather similar players in their approach to the game, changing, as I was saying earlier, in that they're trying to be more net players, but they like hitting the serve rather heavily, Kuerten more heavily than Kafelnikov, and then really appreciate letting the ball bounce off the return and then try and hit the winner off the next shot if they can.
30.
Right, they seem to shoot on him, that one.
The ball gets up fairly high here, and Muster certainly was trying to give the ball some air, but in many ways that played into Kuerten's hands. Kafelnikov will be playing more directly than Muster did.
Well, he may not have faced a break point against Muster, but he's facing one immediately here. Well, it was certainly pretty close, but Mohamed Liani in no mood to overrule. And the ideal start for Kafelnikov with the immediate break. He seems to have coped rather longer with the long wait while Nicholas Kiefer beat Patrick Rafter. 7-5 in the third in the preceding match.
Well, pretty tentative stuff. So often the case, of course, you expect the best, and very often it takes a little while to deliver. Got a good idea there behind the second serve. Kuerten's a tall man, and he had to play that very high. And I wouldn't say Kafelnikov's renowned for his kicking serve.
Picked that one up very nicely indeed off a pretty good return. Kafelnikov storming away at the start of this match. He's raced into a 3-game-to-love lead, but it is just the one break of serve.
Europe's #1 sports channel has launched British Eurosport through NTL and On Digital. British presenters with their own distinctive style and a new-look sports centre. British experts with a British perspective. British Eurosport will be on location when British stars make the headlines. We were there at the Australian Open and will be there at all the biggest live events for years to come. It's the future, and it's on British Eurosport.
Sport Text. Just press text on your remote control and you're there. All the latest sports news and results from all over the world. Exclusive articles and programme information. All the headlines, all the personalities in English, German or Italian. Sport Text. Just press text and you're there.
Welcome back. Well, things continue to go from bad to worse for Gustavo Kuerten. From love 3, Kafelnikov won the next 2 games as well, so here's Kuerten serving at love 5, trying to avoid a whitewash set. This time umpire Liani coming up with the overrule.
That's not good. I saw that one good.
Well, Kuerten just having one of those days. He's playing the sort of match that one plays if you've had a 4-hour match the previous day, not 1, 2 and 4 against Muster. So he wouldn't want umpire Liani overruling against him. But he'll continue to smile. Actually, I'm not sure whether it's a smile or a grimace, but it looks the same and endears him to everyone.
Except his opponents, I guess.
Yes, that's true.
It must be quite irritating, you know, if you're beating up on the guy and there he is at the far end, still smiling at you.
Kafelnikov using a lot of leather there in that chase. In many ways, I'm surprised. It's not a good idea to beat a good player 6-love in a set, unless it's the last set, of course.
So your advice is definitely lose this set point.
Yes. Yes, we remember what happened to Pete Sampras when he did the same to Wayne Ferreira and Key Biscayne last year.
Well, other than sort of deliberately hit the ball into the stands, there wasn't a lot Kafelnikov could do to lose that point, so maybe Kuerten was saying, well, you have the set 6-love and then I'll get my revenge.
Yes, that's one way of stopping the opponent winning it, I suppose. Because it does mean that Kafelnikov starts in this set, which should theoretically be a great help.
Well, let's hope it's a great deal better than the first.
Well, we haven't seen him at the net match because there hasn't been really much to get in behind, if you follow my reasoning.
I didn't think you were predicting quite such a dramatic turnaround, having won the set 6-love.
No, this is a marvellous backhand, hitting the ball even though he's on the run well out in front of him, and I think he was really helped by the net cord early in the game, which allowed him free swing, free flow on his backhand. Gave him the feeling.
Extraordinary, isn't it? Doesn't win a game in the first set, comes out, starts at the second, breaks Kafelnikov to love.
Yes, and one could hear Kafelnikov's exclamation when he missed the second point. He realized he was just taking his foot off the acceleration. Of course, he realizes how dangerous Kuerten is.
Ah, good old Lucent Technologies. A little heat plan of where the players spend most of the time. Just a few more ventures forward, I suppose, by Kafelnikov, but interesting that mainly it's just behind the baseline, backhand to backhand.
Yes, backhand to backhand, and Kuerten obviously heavier than Kafelnikov because more red behind his line than behind Kafelnikov. Kafelnikov in that first set virtually walking on water, perhaps.
17 unforced errors from Kuerten. But he certainly not having any chance to sort of enjoy that now, having dropped his serve right at the start of the second set.
Yes, that's one of the problems. Kuerten's a dangerous competitor. All the players know that, of course. Two French champions out here. We've got a feast of French champions. We had Muster yesterday. Might even have Courier later on, I suppose. Carlos Moya playing here as well. Michael Chang we had.
Yep. Yes, of course, new balls. We've played 7 games. Well, having broken, the last thing he wants to do, of course, is to hand it straight back. Yet to win his serve in the match. It's his 4th attempt.
Of course, part of the problem really is that Kuerten's not scoring enough with the first serve. Once Kafelnikov gets into a rhythm, much easier to do that behind the opponent's second. We know how dangerous he is.
The second set starts with 2 breaks of serve to love.
I think I'm safe in saying that they're just not playing well at the same time. And until they do, of course, it's probably not going to be a great spectacle. Of course, Kafelnikov was the reigning French champion when Kuerten put him out of the French.
Nine points played in the second set, and every one has been won by the receiver. This is an extraordinary sequence.
Yes, that's just really what Kafelnikov prays for. Make inroads with a serve, a soft return, and he usually laps those up.
So at last, a point won by the server after 11 in a row. In fact, if you go back, it's 13 in a row, because the last 2 points of the first set were also against the serve. We start then the second set with 3 successive breaks. Kuerten it is who leads by 2 games to 1. Kafelnikov by a set to love.
What is it about a classic ABBA song? Songs like Chiquitita, Dancing Queen, SOS and Waterloo. Summer Night City, Fernando, Super Trooper and The Name of the Game. Songs that lift you right up the moment they hit you. Now, for the first time, this is all in a very special box set. ABBA, The Collection. The best classic dance and romantic ABBA songs on 3 CDs or cassettes. There's also an exclusive video with the best footage of ABBA live. To get ABBA The Collection, you have to order by phone. For your copy, call now. Insight at Universal Music Group. We know great music when we hear it.
Whatever, whoever, wherever. If it's happening in European sport, it's reported on SportsCenter. And now the service is better than ever, introducing flashes for the really hot breaking news and a special extended late-night edition at the fixed time of 2300 CET, 10 UK. Sports Centre, every day throughout the day, keeping you on the pace. Europe's #1 sports channel has launched British Eurosport through NTL and on digital. British presenters with their own distinctive style and a new-look sports centre. British experts with a British perspective. British Eurosport will be on location when British stars make the headlines. We were there at the Australian Open and will be there at all the biggest live events for years to come. It's the future, and it's on British Eurosport.
Listen carefully. This is a competition and you could win great prizes. What is the official colour of the Croatian team's football shirt? Yellow, red and white, or black? Each week a video game station and lots of Eurosport t-shirts must be won. So, you know what to do. Call now. And good luck.
Well, we left it with Kuerten 2-1 up in the second set with a break. He went on to lead 3-1. Kafelnikov caught him at 3-all. Games then went with serve, and here's Kuerten serving at 5-6 in the second set, trying to force the tie-break.
Well, if ever there's a shot, of course, that can be led astray, it's the Kuerten forehand. That is in the Kuerten artillery. His backhand generally a lot safer, more reliable.
My. Well, I'm not surprised that he's reacting like that. Very tough to overrule, obviously, on the far sideline, but I have to say that I thought that was plumb on the line.
Yes, it seemed a good one, because particularly as he'd driven Kuerten deep and then just cut it short here, and I thought it was inside the service block and inside the lines. A little tricky for the line screw, of course, light and shade all over the court.
Kafelnikov then 2 points away from place in the third round for the first time in this event. Third round, the round of the last 16.
Well, it's a big serve and difficult one for Kafelnikov, but he knows what a big point that was.
Can't get any closer than 2 points, at least not for the moment.
It's a poor shot really by Kafelnikov because he had time to use the two-hander there.
Kuerten clings on. And it'll be Kafelnikov to serve at the start of a tie-break. First tie-break these two men have ever played against each other.
That's right, and those are confirmed. Kafelnikov generally the classier tie-break player of the two. Kuerten's record last year 15 and 12. Kafelnikov's 18-13. He's got to count his blessings because in many ways really didn't expect to see him in this tiebreaker. Because once he'd lost his serve early in the second set, it seemed to me he was just playing poorly today.
Kuerten not particularly impressed with the call, or lack of it.
It was a tiebreaker in the second set that he lost to Thomas Johansson in that big match in Battersea, where he might have been #1 in the world.
It's more reminiscent of the match with Muster. And we start the tiebreak with successive aces. First point against the serve goes to Kuerten.
Looking a little tight here is Kafelnikov. It was a strange one, that, wasn't it? Because it just seemed to get away from Kuerten. Perhaps I can't imagine that he lost it, the ball coming from light, as you see here, from Kafelnikov into shadow. But they've been playing through all this, and players will get used to it. But he was very late off the mark and then skidded, trying to stretch for it.
He's finding the serve a bit better now in the tie-break. Kuerten will change ends with a nice little lead of 4-2, just the one mini break.
Yes, Kafelnikov sensing, of course, very much more now the Kuerten threat. The match really that they should be off court by now.
Mini break recovered. Wasn't listening, was it? That ball refused to dribble over, despite the little hop.
Didn't deserve it, mind you, because he really didn't play the shot well. That's the weakness really in the Kuerten game, that cross-court forehand.
Tempted to suggest the way they're playing at the moment that neither of them wants to win this tiebreak.
Yes, that was bottom of the net. Perhaps there's almost too much respect for the other.
Well, what a time to play a shot like that. It gives him 2 set points. It's 1 set all. Kafelnikov, you can see, feels he ought to throw his racket away. Decides against it. The match he might well have won already will now have to go the distance, and he might not win at all.
Well, it's extraordinary, really. Kuerten somehow managed to stay in here. He's been so poor, really, by comparison with his performance against Muster, where he played brilliant tennis. And the pattern not changing much. You can see it's backhand to backhand, really, most of the time, and very little play forward, particularly by Kuerten, forward of the service line. Most of the play being conducted from the back of the court, and that really, from Kuerten you can understand it, because he's not had the confidence to go in. From Kafelnikov, might really have expected a bit more net play from him, which really could well have sewn the match up for him.
It's Kuerten getting the aces together. And 1 set all, so it's proving to be a long afternoon of tennis, and Tim Henman, whose last match on tonight, will have a long wait. We'll have that match for you after this one.
Well, it's all up for grabs now, really, isn't it? And there's no way I thought I'd be saying that about this match from early in the second set.
Picture of frustration, a picture of disgust at his own inadequacies. Man who normally returns so well, really now struggling with the returns.
At least the whole court's in shade now, so there's no excuse for not picking up the ball quickly. It's not that dark, of course.
Kuerten leads 1-love in the third.
New for body and mind. IsoStar with activator effect.
In a child's mind, the future holds great possibilities. Hyundai is turning those possibilities into reality around the world. A world where technology will improve your future. Hyundai.
Let's get ready to party!
Patch Adams had a knack for breaking the rules.
I want to learn about people. I want to help them with their troubles.
That's what I do.
But you suck at it.
A talent for defying authority.
This is all a big joke to you?
Does a chicken have lips?
And a gift
Donner, party of 50?
for turning the world upside down.
Hello.
Robin Williams.
The hospital will cover all of your bills. Any other questions?
Patch Adams.
Centre court at the Grand Champions Resort in Indian Wells as Yevgeny Kafelnikov serves love one down, final set against Gustavo Kuerten. Second round action from the Newsweek Champions Cup. More positive.
Perhaps if Kafelnikov had it again, he might play the low volley, although I thought he did the right thing, but didn't just have enough time here for the two hands on the shot, so taken a lot of pace off it. But that will do Kuerten a lot of good. Well, Kuerten slowed it down. Kafelnikov didn't use his feet. He would have been quick to pick up that it was the slower ball.
Just wide. Lucky. Didn't miss it by much. There's the ace from Kafelnikov, tying up the scores at 1-all and 1-set-all. Reminded the winner of this will play Dutchman Sheng Schalken, who earlier put out the 16 seed Thomas Johansson of Sweden, the man who beat Kafelnikov in Battersea.
Yes, I know it's certainly one match at a time for these chaps, particularly when you're playing opposition like Kafelnikov or Kuerten, but that win of Schalken's over Johansson, pretty important, the sort of thing to look forward to more for Kafelnikov, because he'd lost to Johansson as well in the US Open last year.
A little opening here of 30, 1-all, final set. Now 3 break points.
Well, it was a little like the Kuerten backhand earlier on. Just thrown off balance by the change of speed and change of direction.
Kafelnikov, a break of serve to love, and he moves in front in the 3rd set. We had that extraordinary start to the 2nd set with 2 successive breaks of serve to love, so I don't think Kafelnikov will take anything for granted just yet.
No, they're obviously deciding that if they're going to lose the game quickly. But it's just one of those matches that's awfully difficult to predict. These are 2 players who, it seemed to me on the evidence of Kuerten's game yesterday and Kafelnikov's performances at the Australian and in Rotterdam, 2 players who were really growing as tennis players, who were looking to be a bit more aggressive, take more advantage of good serves, which could be better serves. And And in many ways, I'd hoped that we'd have the dual explosion, as it were, of those talents in this match, but it's gone the other way. So to be able to suddenly pick Kafelnikov now as running away with it, I thought he was going to run away with a second. Really, once he'd broken back. A lot going on in their minds, which I cannot read.
You can. Important for Kafelnikov, of course, to consolidate the break. Serving at 2-1. Not the way to start. Well, we're deep into a third set. Certainly not going to be a long match. Just coming up towards the hour and a half mark. A really good fine shot like that sort of stands out like a lighthouse beacon,
doesn't it? Encourages you to say hello, hello, hello. What's going on here?
Still far too many unforced errors.
Well,
an incredible pickup there from Kafelnikov on the half volley. And every now and again we see glimpses of the outstanding talents that these two men possess, but far too infrequently.
Yes, that was a magnificent point. Is that Kafelnikov to his senses? Certainly looks like one-way traffic now. Just a matter, really, I feel, of Kafelnikov maintaining a fair amount of pressure, because Kuerten doesn't seem to be recovering or finding any magic. Well, dictating the rally, that's why he's that disappointed.
Yep. Too predictable, really, the stop volley.
Yes, he seemed to allow Kuerten back into the point with the slow backhand, one-handed backhand, but Kuerten certainly allowed him again to get on top in the game with that volley.
Quick to get in there. You feel that here's a virtual match point for Kafelnikov, a double break point.
Too many missed first serves by Kuerten, and Kafelnikov really in like an express train.
It's a great time. Yeah, pretty quick, 120 miles an hour, that is. Of course, Rosetsky on Monday banging them in at over 140. You sense that this could be a very, very key game. Used for the third time.
If he could just be that much more regular on his serve, what a force he would be. A bit more all-round, perhaps.
This is the man who's enjoys the prune in the morning. I've been a lover of prunes, I confess. Well, Kuerten clings on, and you can see the annoyance once again of Kafelnikov. Had the chance to take a 4-1 lead. He does still have a break of serve, but the lead is down to just 3 games to 2.
Perfect, no problem.
Now you can communicate any way you want, by fax and email, internet and phone, all with the pocket-sized Nokia communicator. And now you can even communicate with pictures. Take a digital photo on a separate camera, send or receive it with the Nokia communicator. It's an easier way to communicate. Nokia, connecting people.
Hello. The women are coming. Watch out. On Eurosport.
Welcome again. Evgeny Kafelnikov 3-2 up in the final set. There's a plane that seems to be determined to buzz the tournament.
It's not Tommy Haas, you think?
No, I don't think so. Well, not with a bad back. It's probably not a good idea to go out flying stunts.
Upside down.
He was up last year with the Blue Angels, I think they're the American Navy's aerobatic team. Oh yeah, that's brilliant, because he really had to hook that one from behind him.
Yes, he's got an arm like elastic. He doesn't often make these forehands cross-court, but perhaps it was because he almost had to improvise it. Kafelnikov will be wishing he just had a bit more pace on his volleys here. You can see just having to hook it off the right foot.
Well, just a moment ago, it seems, Kafelnikov had a point to lead 4-1, and now he's facing a point for 3-all. Would you believe it? It looks as if it was over with Kafelnikov having sorted himself out, but now it's right back in the melting pot.
Yes, a better quality point, but in the end, Kafelnikov trying to force with the ball very close to his body, not making room for the arm. Thank you. Well, he's seldom done that in the match. I know he did it in the last service game, but to hit two big ones, what's the word I'm looking for? Successively,
yes.
And almost three.
Yes, successively, successfully, I suppose we could say. Love game for Kuerten. And he's turned this set around. 3 successive games, and from 1-3, 30-40, when nobody would have given much for his chances. I think quite a few people might be piling their money on now.
Well, it's astonishing, isn't it? Firstly, it hasn't been a good match, which is disappointing in the first instance. Both players really looked up for it, and perhaps that's it. Perhaps their expectations have been just too high, and with particularly Kuerten not starting well, he's never been able to get out of it, yet Kafelnikov's allowed him to. Is it just this distant possibility of being number one. Remember, Peter Korda really could never rise to the occasion. Kafelnikov, well, Johansson played a terrific match in Battersea. Can't say the same though about Kuerten here. It's almost as if you're looking at Kuerten through the other side of the binoculars.
Yes.
The whole match, in fact.
Yeah, Yevgeny, after the match with Johansson, was saying, well, you know, I'm not too worried, I'm going to make it one day, but, you know, a lot of people have got close, and you think of Michael Chang, he was 1 point away from being number one in the world when Alex Corretja had match point against Pete Sampras in the quarterfinals of the US Open. If Corretja won that match, then Chang became number one. You've referred to Korda. A lot of other players have got to 2 in the world. I think even Ivanisevic did, Stich did, never made that final hurdle.
Yes, and of course people make a lot more fuss about it today, so you try and avoid it, but it's always there.
3-4. The Kafelnikov slump in grave danger of continuing.
Yes, he's feeding Kuerten a few too many backhands. Of course, as we saw from those red patches in those diagrams, he's been doing that all match. That's very often the case between two baseliners.
8th ace. Good. So here's Kuerten with a chance to win a 4th successive game, which would leave him serving for the match.
Really unloaded with that one.
It's long, and one's tempted to say Kafelnikov's gone. I won't, because there have been so many twists to this particular match that you half expect him to come back and win the next 3 games, but he's got to win this one, otherwise the number 2 seed is out at the first hurdle. Kuerten serving for the match. Crowd getting very much behind the South American, who at least is beginning to play that. We know he can.
Well, it's ironic, isn't it? Because he's finishing the match as I thought he would start it, Kuerten, having had his first round match, and he actually qualified in the doubles here as well, so he's had a bit of tennis. Kafelnikov, of course, with a bye in the doubles, but hasn't played.
Well, you were right, Drew. He should never have won that first set 6-love. Because now Gustavo Kuerten with 3 match points to send the second seed packing, and no doubt get a little thank you from Pete Sampras when they next see each other in the locker room. He finishes it with an 11th ace, and he wins the last 5 games of the match. So, second successive real disappointment for Kafelnikov, following on his defeat by Thomas Johansson in London with an early exit here. He, as Drew mentions, has still got the doubles to think about, but this is certainly not what he wanted. He'll have to regroup and get ready for the next Super 9. Key Biscayne starting at the end of next week.
Well, all's well that ends well, I suppose, as far as Kuerten is concerned and his fans, but a horror story to begin with.
Let's hear from him.
Can't really explain it what happened. It just lost the focus for a little while, and that was the reason that I lost 5 straight games in a row. Just, you know, first round, I mean, it's always tough. And plus, you know, Gustavo had already one match yesterday. He got used to it. And, you know, I was a little bit off the game in that second and third set.
Thoughts of Yevgeny Kafelnikov. Now, let's hear from Gustavo Kuerten.
I had to win on the tiebreak in the second set, and then I was break down in the third. I think after the break on the third set, I got 5-3. Then I really thought I was everything around. I was up, and he will have a lot of trouble to come back. So I just focused on that game, served really well, and I played very, very concentrated to win on that game.
You beat Mr. yesterday, today it's Kafelnikov, so now what is your aim in these tournaments? Good debut.
Yeah, it's very good, the 2 first rounds. I hope to keep playing my game like this. I'm feeling very strong on court. And now I have Jens Schalken. He's been playing very well this year, so it's going to be a tough battle again, and just hope to enjoy myself and give it all on the court.
Gustavo Kuerten then has beaten 2 former French Open champions and advances to the last 16. But what of Tim Henman? Can he also record a first ever win in Indian Wells? He's up against Hisham Arazi. We'll be back for that after this commercial break.